We gon' run it, hit the field, blast off, watch them all fall. This is AFC North talk. Got me hype, it's about to be a touchdown. Got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. Are you listening? It's time to get it hype. Tune in when the season poppin'. Yeah, we going live. Hey, knock them out. Ay, first down, going hard. Yes, indeed. AFC North talk. Let's go. Hey, AFC North talk.
Welcome to another edition of AFC North Talk. Here we are. It's wide receiver day. I know the Bengals fans are excited. I know because I've been seeing in the comment section, but it's wide receiver day. And we'll see how this rankings goes. Last week was really interesting because it was, yes, Bengals fans, you took the L. But other than that, it was all over the place. I think it's been the most variance ranking that I've seen in a minute. The running back one.
I think some feathers were ruffled, pun intended. I looked at the comments today. I was like, man, they was hating on my dog Q.
Oh, they was mad at me?
Oh, they was
because
mad,
of Henry.
bro.
Because of Henry.
The whole Derrick Henry thing.
You know you were gonna stare the pop with that.
I'll be looking, dog. Like I interact with the chat while we live. I didn't know. I didn't check the comments.
It only seemed to be Ravens fans. I didn't see anybody else mad at Q. I think it was only Ravens fans.
The comment section has a history of being irate about things that I'm right about. Like, just say this isn't the first time where I've had to go back on the comment section. Remember they got mad at me about the It's Pat 2 years running.
It's Pat. Yeah, that's right. That is correct. It is Pat. Q used to say doesn't matter.
He was glazing.
That's the best ones though when you can go back because I might go back tomorrow to that QB ranking one with Ben over Burrow. I might go back again. That's the best.
That's way back. That's way back.
Come back.
Oh yeah, look, they love to hang on to the few I get wrong, but I have so many receipts on comment sections that I don't need to cash them in. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna just let them keep that money, let them feel good about it.
Yeah, Tony was on to something with that one.
Huh?
I said Tony was on to something with that one.
Mm-hmm. Look. Raven fans, if you are upset at me about what I said last week, you might as well start commenting now, buddy.
So first of all, before we keep going, there is a poll out there. I don't think the Ravens fans will take offense this week because every year
Raven fans act like they don't have the worst wide receiving core.
No, every year we have been ranking the Ravens receivers for the Ravens last. I don't remember one year that we haven't ranked them last in a row.
Every year we put them in last place, and every year Raven fans are furious about it.
Same thing for the outside backer position or edge rusher, whatever you want to call it.
Edge rusher,
we do the same thing. We do every year we rank the fourth.
But see, the edge rusher position, we usually understand that y'all gonna figure out a way to get pressure.
Yeah.
This wide receiver one is a little bit more like, hey man, is it just gonna be Mark Andrews?
No, because that's the tight end ranking. That's the tight end ranking. We need to. Right, that's when we can go. That's at that point we can, Anyway, let's go. Let's go. You know what, Q? Go with your fourth.
Oh yeah, this is a tough one, right? Because you got one team that has a wide receiver I like, but a little bit inconsistent on the production. For that to be your top guy, and they haven't really made the move that we expected to bring somebody in. But that team has something that this team doesn't, which is a constant reputation of being able to develop at least a decent enough wide receiving core to where I could give them the benefit of the doubt in a situation like this. The other team ain't had wide receivers since, was Obama in office the last time the Baltimore Ravens had a decent wide receiving room?
Are you talking when we have Baldwin and Torrey Smith?
Yeah, that was 2012, right?
That was a championship year.
Yeah. Joe Flacco was 20.
He was.
Yeah. It's Baltimore. Baltimore's number 4. With a period number 4 here. Zay Flowers is cool. right? Zay Flowers, he got like 873 last year. Pretty good production, not bad at all. But then you start to ask questions about what's going on next to Zay Flowers. Now, Sonny, can you do me a favor and list off the Baltimore Ravens wide receivers so people don't think I'm being biased?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with mine because my computer's acting up. So we have the rookie Walker, we have Bate, we had Nelson Aguilar, Tyus Wallace, and a Hardy. Those are the main guys.
Who you consider your number 2 wide receiver?
Probably Bate.
Exactly. The long pause between.
Well, because I think Bate, but I cannot deny that Nelson Aguilar was productive in his role last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Baltimore is here. I mean, like when we're talking about Nelson Aguilar was super productive last year, and we talk about less than 400 yards receiving. Like
he was your 4. He was your wide receiver 4.
He's your 2 now. Like he's your 3 or your 2 now. Like this receiving core was not good last year. They've gotten worse. Like maybe you can try to sell me that Zay Flowers is going to get so much better. And that you're going to not miss Odell's production and you'll be just as bad as you were last year. But I don't know if that's how that works. I don't think less options makes you better at wide receiver. I'm trying to look at the numbers for Rashad Bateman, who I am shocked is still not good. I thought Rashad Bateman would be good, but it has been way too long into his NFL career for me to expect him to turn a corner out of nowhere. But this is his 4th year in the league.
He's going to his 4th year.
Yeah, it would have happened by now. So I can't sit here and hope that it's going to happen. I mean, like I saw Raven fans talk about this and they were like, hey, we just hope he's like a 600-yard wide receiver. That's a terrible number 2. Like it's not good right there. So yeah, I mean, like how else can I put this? Like y'all drafted Tez Walker. I'm not a big fan of Tez Walker, even less of a fan of Tez Walker in the AFC North. He was somebody who struggled to handle the press at the Senior Bowl, struggled to handle the press at North Carolina, even struggled in the MAC when he got pressed up. Like it's just not looking great for Tez and adjusting to this style of play, especially in his rookie year. And then you go up and down. It's like, okay, you got Zay Flowers. The one thing with Zay is 5'9", and he's going to be a productive wide receiver. I'm not doubting that. I'm not saying he can't be a productive wide receiver, but if you are not Tyreek Hill, you cannot be the premier wide receiver on your team at 5'9". Like you have to be a compliment, and he's not a compliment. He's the main dish, which means he's going to get number 1 corner coverage. He's going to get all of that. And he did a good job with that last year, but now he's going to get increased intention because now there's no Odell Beckham shiny toy to make defensive coordinators think that this is 2016 and we still need to like cover that guy at the same capacity. Now Zay Flowers is going to get increased attention because there's just less out there. So who knows if he's going to be able to continue to be that productive. And we're talking about a guy who had 858 yards. It's just not a productive wide receiving core. There's no way you can flip this, cut this up, repackage it, and sell it to me that this is a better wide receiver core than what anybody else has in the division. It was not good last year. I pointed this out. Y'all screamed at me, told me Odell was not Sonny. Raven fans outside of Sonny screamed at me and told me Odell was going to fix that, and then you're going to have Nelson Aguilar, Zay Flowers, and all these other pieces, and that you actually had one of the better wide receiving cores of the AFC. Did not end up being true, end up having the same old problems, even with a new offensive coordinator in there. I think this is what it is. Even if Zay Flowers is a 1,000-yard receiver, this is still a very weak room. And this is a position where your depth matters. And the depth is not good. And honestly, the starters aren't that great. Like if you're just looking at who's your 1, who's your 2, those aren't ideal options. Like if Zay was a 2 and you had a real 1, like if Bateman was who we thought he was coming out of Minnesota, I'd be all for this room being a little bit underrated. But as far as it goes, this is another year where the Ravens going to struggle to beat man coverage.
Okay. Ace.
Yeah, this is a bum fight down here for the fourth spot, man. Like one of these bums got some OJs on, another one got some Crocs on. It's the bottom of the barrel here. But I do think Q has a point. I think if you compare the two rooms, you probably feel like George Pickens is a safer bet. However, I do feel like Zay Flowers is, prepared to really go off for 1,000-yard season this season. I think he finished with 800 yards his rookie season. Now with there not being an Odell Beckham Jr. there, that might actually be better for them. However, they still don't have a combination that you look at and you're super scared of. Now, can Devontae Walker bring stability to that room? Maybe. Or is he going to be another Rashad Bateman? Rashad Bateman, I just don't know what he is at this point, like Q was saying. However, I might trust Rashad Bateman as their second option a little bit more than a guy like Van Jefferson, Roman Wilson, a rookie. And I really feel like Devontae and Roman kind of wash each other out. So when I look at the rest of the room, I kind of side with the Ravens a little bit just because I was expecting, like everybody has speculated, that the Steelers were going to add someone to that room. And I think I remember a few months ago, we were saying like this Steelers room is one of the worst receiving rooms in the league. Now, the Ravens aren't too far from that, but I wouldn't say that they're down there with the worst of them. And then the fact of the offense, like the way that this offense is going to work, I really wonder about the fit there. Like, I really definitely trust Todd Monken, especially with what he showed with the Ravens last year, that he knows how to use Zay Flowers and stuff like that. I really do not trust Arthur Smith to use George Pickens. George Pickens is going to be pissed off this season. And I'm not saying that from a room of hate. I'm saying that from someone that watched that Atlanta Falcons offense, that has friends that talked about that Atlanta Falcons offense, that seen that guy pretty much not pass the ball at all. So I just wonder what the fit is. And I think the person that probably stands to benefit the least is George Pickens. Now, I will say, especially after the monster game that he had against the Bengals, George Pickens isn't a guy that needs a bunch of targets to have an explosive game. Like, he can get 4 or 5 catches and give you 150 yards, a couple touchdowns, and you'll probably get that from time to time. I just feel more safe with the Todd Monken bet. This is year 2 of that offense. I think Zay Flowers ascends, but it is still close. Like, these two rooms are pretty close. I think if the Steelers had a number 2, then I would be putting the Ravens here last. But because the Steelers don't have that number 2, I do like Roman Wilson, by the way. Like, I do like what he brings to the room for them. I just don't know if it's enough. And I think this is the first time in a while where the Steelers have had a wide receiver core where I'm actually looking at it like, what else do they have in here besides their number 1 receiver? Because
Denzel Mims in the league still?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This was the team that
apparently he on the Steelers now.
Is that the dude who used to be on the Buccaneers?
He used to be on the Jets.
It's Denzel Mims, Calvin Ridley. Like, bro, Calvin Austin. I thought he was gonna do something. That was like a couple years ago. He still hasn't done anything. If he can't do anything,
preseason legend Martinez Callaway,
it's a wrap. So I just don't believe in anybody outside of George Pickens in that room. Maybe Roman Wilson, I believe in a little bit, but outside of that, that's why they're 4 for me. I just believe more in Todd Monken and what he's got going on over there. I did think that it was funny that Nelson Aguilar was solid, but yeah, I don't know if you want to rely on Nelson Aguilar to be one of your main guys.
My one question with this whole ranking thing is too, I do actually think that the Ravens receivers will be more productive than the Steelers receivers, but that's because I don't trust the Steelers quarterback situation. Like, so I don't know how much that matters when it comes to ranking just the room, because I don't think that these wide receivers are better than what the Steelers have. Ace brings it up. It's a close fight. It's a close fight.
Yeah.
Not a great fight. But
who's gonna get in the shelter? Who gonna get in the shelter? They out there fighting. Who gonna get that last spot?
Look, that's what I was gonna say, that because QQ, you were talking like the Ravens were leaps and bounds the worst. I tweeted when we put the reminder for the show that I thought we weren't last, but I think it's a close fight. I think it could go either way. The thing is, the Steelers have a guy in George Pickens that I think we all like. I love Zay Flowers, although I hated what happened in the playoff game, right? But that wasn't something that he did throughout the season. That happened to be in the most important game, but it wasn't happening. That was happening through the season, right? So that doesn't concern me because of that. If it was something that I saw a lot through the season, I would definitely be concerned. And then after that, if you take Zay Flowers and George Pickens out, let's take those two out. We all think that those are good receivers. They can potentially even be better this year than what they were, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we take to the next. And look, Bateman, and I was trying to, and again, my computer is acting up today. I'm trying to look for this advanced analytic. Bateman was one of the highest receivers in separation last year. And I think the problem that the what?
Sonny, were you looking up ways to defend the Ravens wide receiver room and your computer broke?
No, my computer broke before that. Today we were late because of me. No. But look, so the problem I think that we had last year, but Bate, specifically Bate, is Odell was taking a lot of the snaps and the passes that he will take. A lot. The one thing, and this was my opinion since we signed Odell, is Odell gonna demand the ball that Lamar Jackson? Because I saw this sometimes from Baker, where Baker will just force feed Odell, right? Like Odell commands that attention not only from the defense but from their quarterback. Like, no, I'm open, pass me the ball, right? I think Bateman got some of that. I think Bateman's numbers will go up. The thing with Bateman is, can he stay healthy? That is my biggest question with Bateman. When Bateman's on the field, I think he can be productive. Then you get Nelson Aguilar, that I think he was nice in his role as a wide receiver 4. Now you're bumping him to the 3rd. We'll see. We drafted Walker. I think Walker's what I think they see in Walker is legit Torrey Smith. If I see Walker's tape, it's essentially what I saw when we drafted Torrey Smith out of Maryland. Like, go route, be fast, hope for DPIs, right? And that's Torrey Smith. That was his bread and butter. DPI, sometimes short routes so he can get in space and try to outrun somebody. I think that's what this Walker's gonna be. We're gonna be, I think, in two tight end sets more. I don't think that's what Tom Monken said. And then I think the Ravens are going to try to create match problems between Zay and the tight end group. And that will create better matchup for that second unit of receivers and less pressure, right? The pressure will be more on Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers to get the bulk of the yardage. So that being said, with less pressure, I think even though they're moving up in the depth chart, they're moving up, right? Rashad to 2nd and Nelson to 3, because I think they're gonna try to use Likely more. It's like they're still in 3 and 4. And if I see the Steelers and the Steelers side, right, and we talk about, sorry, this is not the Steelers, Van Jefferson, a guy that I like coming out of college, but after his time in LA, he hasn't done much in the last year or so. Rowan Wilson, a rookie, he could be good, he could be bad. I don't know. Same thing with Walker, right? He could be good, he can be bad. I'm not sure. And then from there, I feel like I think the experience that the Ravens have in that second unit is a little bit better than the experience that the Steelers have in that second unit. I agree, actually, how Ace put it. This is you're fighting for one of the worst. And if Ravens fans want to get into their feelings for what I'm saying here, currently our receiving core and the Steelers receiving core are one of the worst in the leagues. I'm not saying the teams are, but if there's a weak spot for the Ravens, and we go every year, it's the reason why every year we talk about drafting our receiver, is there. So I have the Steelers at 4, and I have the Ravens at 3, because this after the first wide receiver run for both units, I think the Ravens receivers are slightly better than what the Steelers can offer. I do have high hopes from Bate, but y'all know I was super hype of the Ravens drafting Bate way back when he was coming out of Minnesota.
You were super high. I still remember the high
that
take.
was my guy.
What are your high hopes of Bates?
I still got that receipt, Sonny. Because
no, you can
the
catch
hot take show was Rashad Bateman was gonna have a better season than Jamar Chase.
Oh, that was a crazy one. That was look. It was the crazy take show. You know,
it was the crazy take show.
The crazy take show. We all said some insane.
It was when Jamar was having the drops or whatever. And he was
the dropsies. Oh yeah, remember that?
They were it was for the rookie year.
Yeah, the rookie.
It was the rookie year.
Ooh, and then you had the T. Higgins take the same year.
Well, the T. Higgins was more like, he's so good. I forgot. I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't an insult more than he needed to leave because he was good and Jamar Chase was there. It was something in those lines. Anyway,
it was like there was no room for him.
Yeah, something in those lines. Something in those lines. Anyway, you were gonna ask something cute about Bate.
Yeah. What are you? So you say you have high hopes for Bate. Like, I want to know, like, it's somebody who is more optimistic about it than the rest of the panel. What do you think those numbers look like for Rashad Bateman?
So if you see his past 2 years, they're atrocious. Now, not last year, the year before, he was basically injured almost the whole year. Mm-hmm. Last year, he had a lot of tweak injuries, which is my concern. Again, is health. I think Zay will maybe get to 1,000. Right, because I think we're gonna go more heavy on running this year. We're gonna take it back to more 50-50 balance running, right? I think you will see Bate, as you said, around the 6 to 700 yards, and then you will see Nelson flow between 3 and 4. Des will contribute also between 3 and 4. I think that is the numbers for the receiving room, and then you get the tight.
Des can push to start or no? You think he just is locked in the wide receiver 4?
I think he can push for wide receiver 3, but I don't think we're gonna be too much in 3 wide receiver set. I think they're gonna be more in the 2 tight end set.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. I could see, like you said too, you guys using the other tight end as a big slot receiver.
Yes. So if you ask me, Q, those are not crazy numbers, right? Those are not necessarily for passing. Like a passing team will say, well, that's anemic, right? Like this is a joke of a number. But for how the Ravens are going to run that offense, I think the main thing for me for Bate is when your number is called, can you make the play, right? When the team depends on you, right? Whatever the amount are they going to be dependable?
So you need him to be like a first down chain mover, basically.
Yeah. He's the problem that we have with our receivers, as I have stated before, which is that's why I've been wanting us to draft a different type of receiver. Is who is in the red zone that receiver? We know Say is a fast, twitchy guy that it can beat you in open space. We know that, and in a short situation, 5 yards, he could be a problem because he can just juke you out and get open. But other than Zay, who is that other guy? Yes, you can scheme them open. Do you have anybody that it can go get it in a fade? Okay, Mark Andrews. But as in the wide receiver room, who's that guy? That's not Zay. That's not really Bateman. That's not Nelson Aguilar. The Ravens don't have that. The Steelers have that, right? That's what Pickens can potentially do with his height and his length. We don't have that. Anyway, that's why I have them in 4th and 3.
When I'm looking there, I think PFR just added this because this hadn't been there before. They have a stat called success rate, and it basically measures how many times a reception is gained at least 40% of the yards on first down, 60% of the yards on second down, and 100% of the yards needed to get a first down on third down.
Okay.
When I look at the Ravens wide receiving room, you have one guy that's out of the 50% range, right? Which is Mark Andrews, 62% success rate, 27 first downs on the season. Zay Flowers is at 55, which is pretty okay. 41 first downs on the season. And then it's like a flurry of dudes under 50% after that. So even like Odell last year, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar was at 55. So it's like, so that's what you mean when you want like Rashad to come up. It's like, have more of those.
I think he takes what Odell. I think Nelson Aguilar stays in the same type of role, right? And I think you will see maybe Walker pushing Nelson Aguilar and then you get Bateman taking what he was doing plus Odell, right? Maybe Zay takes a little bit of Odell, but definitely Bateman. And because between week 7 and after, Zay was clearly wide receiver 1, and they were utilizing him a lot. I think they keep that, but Bateman takes what Odell was leaving in there. And again,
what is Bateman like as a blocker? Is he a good blocker or something like that?
He's a decent blocker.
Because I'm like, he seems surprised, and I think a lot of people were surprised you guys extended him. But somebody on your coaching staff clearly feels like he does something for them to want to keep him there. Like
again, I think blocking wise, he's fine. I think his separation is way better than what your numbers will tell you, production wise. And I think you see him year 1. If you think about Bateman year 1, rookie year, he was really good, right? And then year 2, injuries. He barely touched the field. Odell comes, he's also a ghost. The question is, can he return to that year, his rookie year? If he returns to the rookie year, then you're talking about a solid wide receiver 2, right? That's what they will like. Can he return something similar to his rookie year, and then say take a little bit step forward, and then you have a potential, right? They really didn't pay him much. Go ahead.
I might switch my 3 and 4.
Yeah, because you see that other than George Pickens, there's nothing
I
there.
know it was this bad.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's Pickens and nobody.
Kind of nasty, dog.
Oh, because I'm looking at the success. I'm like, well, let me check the success percentage out for
The Steelers.
Pittsburgh wide receivers. I'm like, George Pickens had a 50.9.
Quez Watkins and Scotty Miller might be doing something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I forgot this team played Allen Robinson last year.
Yeah. Right now, the Steelers. So again, and then J-Rock, you can take it over. But I think both teams definitely not great. But I think the Ravens, after the first 2, have more experience and people that I trust more to do something. I'm not talking Des Walker because for me, rookies are very hard to predict. So not even Roman Wilson. But so the veterans there, I think the Ravens veterans are in a better situation than the Steelers one. J-Rock, what do you think?
So I mean, like your brother said, man, we already know this was kind of like a close fight. I think realistically, the Ravens is number 4. I mean, I think that they don't have the depth. I think outside of Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman coming in the last couple of years. I mean, he's been a valuable source, but it's not somebody that I would kind of like depend on. Nelson Aguilar has not been very dependable, realistically. And I think that, even when it comes to like a team like Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh historically has always been good at drafting wide receivers. And not only drafting wide receivers, but being able to build wide receivers and get them NFL ready. I think, like I said, the last flop I think we've had at wide receiver was Lama Sweet. And that was early 2010s. So I definitely think that Ravens is number 4. Now, and going into that, I think that it's kind of difficult. But when I think about it, I would probably put Cleveland on number 3. I would probably put Cleveland.
This just got spicy.
I would put Cleveland at number 3. And
you make shit interesting. I like it.
Wow.
Absolutely. And this is my point. So I mean, we all know that football is a game of attrition, right? So we think about what we have as far as the stars, and we're taking out the George Pickens and the Jamar Chases and the Zay Flowers. When you think about those players, and even Amari Cooper, but who's a little bit older, might I add. But when you think about those players, if any of those top players go down, what will your wide receiver room look like?
Dude, but if Pickens goes down for y'all,
Pickens goes,
just hit me
just
out.
Put the security guard to run routes at that moment.
Me you want Van
everybody's gonna be out there lining up.
Hit me out
over like Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy.
Hear me out though. So when it comes to the quality of what we have. I don't think that even the quality of what we have. I mean, you think about, like you said, Van Jefferson, Quez Watkins, the rookie Roman Wilson, even Scotty Miller. We're not talking about Scotty Miller, who all of those players are kind of not top prospect players, but when it comes to the productivity, is not far. You're not going to get less production from those players because they're all kind of like similar around the same way. Now, when it comes to, like I said, when Zay Flowers, if Zay Flowers fell off, then you got Rashad Bateman as your number one. Nah, like I'm not. I wouldn't rock with that. But when it comes to the culture that is in Pittsburgh, I mean, you got the culture the way as though they're gonna make whoever shine up there, right receiver. Like I said, with a Quez Watkins, I mean, even Denzel Mills might get in the game. You never know.
Oh man, I can't vibe with you, Jay.
Hold on. Who was the guy that Tony tried to sell us on? He was a free agent.
Montrez. It's something Montrez, right? Wasn't it something?
Well, you talk about the dude from the Colts?
Yeah,
he got like 4 yards.
Moncrief.
That's what.
Are you telling me on this Dante Moncrief stuff again? Because we done seen it not work.
He's selling you on that. Yes,
we done seen it not work in Pittsburgh.
I'm selling you on quantity, not quality.
What kind of quality are we talking about? Because we don't even know if half these dudes gonna make the roster.
Right. Well, they got to. Somebody got.
Y'all got to do that.
No, you can't tell me quantity. You telling me somebody has to. You can't even stand on who your five are.
I can tell you right now. We already know Roman Wilson gonna make it. Calvin Austin. I didn't even mention Calvin Austin. He's definitely gonna make it.
We still don't know what Calvin Austin is.
Wait, let him finish.
GP. I mean, you already know that.
That's 3.
I would say I would venture to say.
Nah, you done.
No.
There's no way you believe this, dog.
I would venture to say Van and Scotty Miller gonna make it.
Look,
so you got to project
line up at wide receiver. Mike Tomlin can't line up at receiver, dog.
You see, I can tell you my 5. If you ask me, I can tell you clearly who my 5 are.
Yeah, you can tell me your 5, but
you know what? I'm flipping mine. Pittsburgh at 4.
Pittsburgh 4.
You just made me think about the fact that y'all don't have 5 dudes. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be what they gonna run out there. I could at least do that for Baltimore, man.
Plus we got Cordell Patterson. But it's like the dudes that they would keep at 5 or 6.
Cordell hasn't been a receiver for a minute. Cordell
running back. Is not running routes. So like, stop.
Yeah.
No, he's a running back now.
Yeah, he's a running
back. But
even
you could take him and line him up over their 4th receiver, and he's probably still better than him. He's probably still better.
He might still be good on a go route.
Yeah, he gonna do all
Look,
that.
Man, go get Hines Ward at a retirement because that's better than what you got right now.
Let me try to like. So Quez Watkins.
I don't know why y'all got rid of. Like, I get why y'all got rid of Deontay, but to not have a
backup plan
after that, I think.
Well, they will tell you it's Roman, right? They will tell you it's Roman.
That DJ move hurt us, especially when we didn't get aggressive with filling it. I kind of got sick of hearing all this. The Steelers are interested in this person, or trading for this person, and nothing moved because we were supposed to make that move around or before the draft. Or even after the draft, and still ain't nothing. They signed in what's the name? J-Ray Jenkins.
I don't know
they signed in D-Ray Davis. Like,
but my point is that, right? Like, I get if you put your guys over the Ravens because, well, like we talk about, like we are bottle of the barrel between both of us.
So what you said you have.
Ravens
Baltimore 4,
3 Browns.
Yeah, the Browns at 3. All right, we haven't gotten to justifying the Browns being at 3 though. So can you get to that one?
Again, when it comes to the Browns being at number 3, like I said, it's quantity. So I mean, when it comes to what the Browns have, if Amari Cooper, Jerry Judy, or Elijah Moore goes down, it's not going to be good because they fall off. I mean, what else would you have next?
Who's going to be good if the top 3 wide receivers go down?
James Prochet.
No, it's not James Prochet. It's Cedric Tillman, 3rd round pick.
I mean, like I said,
James Prochet is fighting to make the team right now.
Say it again.
James Prochet is fighting to make the team right now. It's him, and then it's like David Bell, and then we drafted somebody, right? Jamari Thrash probably gonna make the team. Fifth round.
I would take my core over the Browns core.
Okay, but like, what don't you like about the Browns core specifically, though?
It's not
like instead of like comparing it to the Steelers, what don't you like about them?
No, it's not about me not liking them. Again, it's more so about me feeling that the quantity of what we have is over the quantity of what the Browns have. Well, so like I said, I'm going to GP, Barry Jefferson. You got Quez Watkins, Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller. I mean, I feel in my heart of hearts, we're gonna make another move before the season starts. So I'm optimistic about that.
Okay, all right. Well, that's there. Should I go to the? Should I go now?
I had 2 super chats. Let me read them,
right,
and then you can go. You can go 3 and 2 if you want. But let me. So the first one here is from a particular name. If James Harrison goes into the Hall of Fame, will it be a Steelers or a Bengals? I mean,
James Harrison really a Hall of Fame player though.
Then no, you really need to be asking if it's as a Steeler or a Patriot, because wasn't he on the Patriots for a little bit?
No, he was. He was
like
on
a
the
year or 2,
and he was on the Ravens too.
No, he was on the
really
Ravens.
Need to ask if it's gonna be as a Brown, because everything in his Hall of Fame tape came against us when we stunk.
It'll definitely be. It'll definitely be a Steeler though. I mean, he made his most significant play, one of the best, if not the best, play in Super Bowl history.
Isn't that
it was
he should have been the MVP that year?
It was I seen it before. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't even overtime or nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool.
It was significant.
It was some light shit. Dang,
that's crazy.
So Nightmare Kilo here says best case scenario, we're like 22 Philly on offense. I don't.
That has to be about the Ravens, right?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out
because that's before they traded for all them receivers.
No, 22 wasn't 22 when they made it to the Super Bowl. Last year they did, and the year before they did.
They made it to the Super Bowl. So last year's Super Bowl was 2024, right? Because it happened in February. So 2023 was when they made it to the Super Bowl. 2020.
No, but last year was the 23 season, because
it gets weird. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. Nightmare Killer,
let us know what you was talking about so we can engage with
exactly. Because I'm trying to, and then Thomas Morgan here. Let's go Ravens. Okay, Q. Let me know who you're 3 and 2, because all of us said 4 and 3. A said 4 and 3. I said 4 and 3. J Rock said 4 and 3. You alluded to your 3. You can, or if you're gonna flip, that's fine. You can explain your flipping and all that, and then you can go to your
I am gonna flip because behind George Pickens, I don't think the Ravens I don't think the Steelers have one professional wide receiver. Like, I at least think
wow.
I'm being dead serious.
That is
I was looking at, I was like, okay, what Denzel Mims do the last few years? He got 186 yards receiver. That boy is one game away from being in the XFL.
I forgot he was.
We got Super Bowl winners on our team. How does not?
Oh yeah. You brought up Van Jefferson. You brought up Van Jefferson. Great point, J Rock.
And Scotty Miller. Who? Okay, so Jefferson between 2 teams last year, so he got cut in the middle of it. Had 209 yards receiving and no touchdowns. So let's make it Nelson Aguilar look like a god. I ain't gonna lie to you, right? Let me see what your boy Scotty Miller are, because you made sure you brought him up. Is there anybody else that you want me to? Calvin Austin? We bringing up Calvin? Should we bring it up on the screen? No, don't bring up Calvin Austin.
I don't know if wide receivers 2 through 5, if you summed up all of their yards from last year.
By the way, an alarming amount of these wide receivers played in Atlanta. Like, an alarming amount of these wide receivers are coming from that old system. I'm kind of nervous about that one too. 161 yards for the Super Bowl champion, who has a career high of 500 yards receiving.
I don't think that's 1,000 yet, Q.
And then Calvin Austin, a nice 31-80. Like, these good games. These are Amari Cooper had one game more impressive than all of these wide receivers we just brought up on screen. And one of these dudes might be number 2. My bad, Nelson Aguilar. I was tripping. I assumed that the Steelers had more ammunition. I ain't know it was down like that. Damn.
I said it. This is the year we're not.
Damn. My man, Sonny, you've been trying out to play for the Steelers. Do you have over 200 yards receiving? Mike Tomlin has a job for you. Y'all number 2 receiver might be playing right now in spring football. I ain't even joking. Like, I ain't even joking. Hakeem Butler might be your number 2. Like, it. Woo. Wow. Like, did I Steeler fans, by the way, just to make sure I'm not being biased, please name me the wide receiver that should be number 2, that I should look at as, like, is it Quez? Let me look at Quez, a rookie.
They traded for him and acted like it was a real move. I'm like, that is not a move.
Okay, Quez got 142. Quez got 142. 142 in 5 starts.
That sounds like
keep in mind when we look at these numbers that when we think about the wide receiver play, Pittsburgh historically has never been a team to throw the ball an extended absurd amount of time. So I mean, like primarily
flag on the play. I put all cap on B. We all lived through the Ben Roethlisberger era. Stop it. We all saw him throw 50 passes 3 years ago.
That might have been 2 or 3.
That's why they call him a con artist. It's starting to make sense now. He really tricked y'all in the wide receiver room.
I call him flag on the play.
That might have been 2 or 3 seasons. I think he only had 1 season with like 5,000 yards. Other than that, everything was like pedestrian.
Man,
Now,
man, I stop it. I've watched the Browns play the Steelers my entire life. Ben Roethlisberger never hesitated to throw the ball.
He did not. But they did base a lot of the game off the run. So we couldn't run the ball. We definitely wasn't going to throw the ball.
Hey, man, Roman Wilson legitimately has to step up and be your number 2. Like, if you don't trade for somebody, like, legitimately, that's what I see happening. Ugh. Yeah, I didn't know it was this bad. My bad, Baltimore. Y'all deserve to be mad at me. If y'all was mad at me, I let it go. Wow. Y'all, I didn't know it was that bad. Yeah, Baltimore is not that bad. So Baltimore, I think that's not a good professional wide receiving core, but it's a professional one. I'm sorry, dog. Like, y'all ain't got one dude better than Nelson Aguilar below George Pickens. Y'all ain't got one dude I can confidently say, yeah, he's better than Nelson Aguilar.
Are these strictly based off of numbers?
These are strictly based off of just how they play football. Dog, you telling me that you think Denzel Mims is better than Nelson Aguilar right now? You think Scotty Miller is better than Nelson Aguilar?
I might take a chance on Quez Watkins on Van Jefferson.
You gotta take a chance. You don't think that's true? You hope that's true. That's not true.
Did Van Jefferson Jr. get traded to Van Jefferson Senior's team? And
Van Jefferson, look, at least
dad cut him. His own dad got rid of him.
Ace. At least at least Nelson Aguilar was on one team last year.
Yeah.
No. Like, there's no way. Wow. Yeah. So Steelers 4. My bad. I let my recency bias of the Ravens always being in 4 put y'all 4.
That's what I was trying to say.
My bad. I'll admit when I'm wrong. See, I'm admit when I'm wrong. DeMarcus Robinson.
He's talking about this comment, by the way. Pete Crowley says, didn't AFC North Talk favor DeMarcus Robinson beat out Van Jefferson last year for the Rams? Not last year, for the year before.
DeMarcus Robinson. Wait, that was, look.
Last year. That's
Steelers room does remind me of when the Ravens were so down bad that like 2 dudes that like, was it like 2 dudes that got picked up off waivers at the end of camp ended up being starters for Ravens wide receivers?
Yeah, because Big Moon went out for the year, and then you have DeMarcus Robinson, and might have Snead that year as well.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Even if George Pickens, if you consider George Pickens to be much better than Zay Flowers, you cannot explain the rest of this receiving room
exactly
in a way that makes any sense. Like, I'm sorry, this is a tryout. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 dudes in that room. That's a tryout. They keep it 5, J-Rock. They keep it 5. They got 13 in there. They running tryouts. This is nuts. And all 15 of them dudes probably got combined 1,000 yards receiving. I can't get with this. like what? This is the movie Major League at the beginning where they're just letting people try out and shit. Like, that is what's happening right there.
What's her name? The movie with Vince McPally.
Look, I think
to Latrobe, Pennsylvania this year, you might be able to be a wide receiver.
And that's my whole point was here. Like, the Ravens, in my opinion, we are the last quarter of the league in this. But the Steelers, we're talking about the worst of the league. Or one of the worst in the league, wide receiver room.
Wow. Xavier Wade from Ferris State. Where y'all just getting dudes? But yeah, okay. Anyways, let's talk about the Browns being at number 2. I think the Browns room has been improved. Now, Jerry Jeudy and how people perceive Jerry Jeudy is an interesting thing compared to his production, because his production hasn't been terrible. It just hasn't been Justin Jefferson, right? Justin Jefferson in that same draft class produced a hell of a lot, became one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, just got paid, what, $35 million a year? Damn, 35. But when you look at Jerry Jeudy, pretty consistently around 800 to a high 900 yard guy. That's pretty good production for a number 2 receiver. The Cleveland Browns already have Amari Cooper, who's been the last 2 years a 1,200 yard guy. You get Elijah Moore in there, who's probably good for about, I would say, anywhere from like 700 to 500 yards as your number 3 option. And then you can have the young guys in there like a Cedric Tillman, maybe a Jamari Thrash gets a couple 100 yards in there. It's in the NFL, but I think it's a pretty solid receiving room. You have solid options at 1, 2, and 3. And even if those 3 guys go out, you still have, I would take Cedric Tillman over everybody else other than George Pickens in that Steelers wide receiver room. Like, he don't even know what routes he running sometimes. Like, I would definitely take that. Like, I'm sorry, dog. That's nuts. But I would take Elijah Moore. Y'all would die for Elijah Moore right now. Like, y'all would trade us 2 first-round picks for Elijah Moore, so y'all ain't got to run out Van Jefferson in 2024. But it is, I think that receiver room, it's a solid receiving room. It's not going to overwhelm people, but I do think they have good fits. Jerry Jeudy fits really well in the slot where he'll be playing. Then you have Elijah Moore, who's going to be able to play the Z, and he's going to be able to hold it down on the opposite side of wherever Amari Cooper comes in, and you can flip Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy when it's necessary. You could bring in a big body like Cedric Tillman on some sets, and then you can obviously mix and match with other tight ends in there. It's a solid wide receiving room. I think you could do everything that you would want to do with the NFL offense with these guys. You're not encumbered with this room. Is it like a top 5 room in the NFL? No, it's probably in that 12, 13 middle of the pack range, upper middle of the pack, because not everybody has a receiver capable of getting 1,200 yards. I do think Amari Cooper is super underrated still for whatever reason. All he does is produce, and he produces in the biggest moments for this team. He's been a consistent producer for this team, and I think he'll continue to do that. Jerry Jeudy on a new team, I do think he'll improve. I don't think the improvement's going to be crazy. I don't think he's going to get like 1,200 yards and make that contract look like super small. But I think he'll be a consistent 900-yard guy this year. I think he'll get more first downs, get more opportunities, be more of a yak guy, be somebody that the Browns really like to use on first down as well. And that would be kind of his role. And I think Elijah Moore will see more big plays come his way because of there's more attention to be divided between David Njoku and Amari Cooper. So I think Elijah's going to be in a better position to succeed. Also, with the healthy Deshaun Watson, you would expect the production to be up. Now, this isn't about the whole offense. It's just about the wide receiver room. I still believe in those three's ability to run routes and get open and separate, because they were still able to do that at a high level on film. So I think the production's there. I think the tape's there. I think this is a solid, pretty good room. And that's more than I could say about how I feel about Baltimore's room. And most certainly, my bad, Baltimore, how I feel about Pittsburgh's room. Because damn, J-Rock, you could have let us have two. I would have never had to really think about why I put the Steelers where I did. But I'm glad you did, because we got a more accurate rating out of it. And that's what we're here for.
Okay, Ace, you gave your 4th and 3. If you want to give your 2nd and 1, go ahead.
What's going on with the buzz?
Ace,
your mic is buzzing.
Yeah, your mic is buzzing.
Oh, you got to let somebody into the jewelry store.
I'm going to go with you, J-Rock, while Ace figures this out. J-Rock, you already gave your 4th and 3.
Hey,
I cannot imagine you putting Steelers at first.
You guys hear me? Is it okay? All right.
Yes.
Yeah, you good. Go ahead.
Okay, let me go with Ace. Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Cleveland, number 2 here. I think that they're definitely improving their wide receiver core, especially in the offseason. It seems like they were ahead of things with the Jerry Jeudy extension before that market went crazy. I expect more from Elijah Moore. I feel like I've been waiting even since he was like a Jet for him to really become the guy that we kind of thought that he was. Like, maybe this will be the season now that they have 3 receivers there. But I feel better about Jerry Jeudy being over there as a number 2 with Amari Cooper. Now, you can say the same rap kind of goes for Jerry Jeudy too, right? Like, he hasn't met the expectations, but I don't think he's performed as bad as Elijah Moore has. But having those 3 receivers to pair with Amari Cooper, I think that that's a pretty formidable wide receiver core over there. And then Cedric Tillman, let's see if he takes a step this year. I know a lot of people were high on him last year. And then Jamari Thrash gets added to that room. And then you have David Bell, who kind of hasn't really lived up to it, but in this role as possibly wide receiver 5, that's a pretty solid guy to have as a 3rd-round pick. James Prochet, as Q said, I don't think he's even making the roster, but I think when you look at this Cleveland team, you can say that there are 6 guys that can really vie for a spot in that room. Whereas when you talk about the other 2 teams, I'm not so sure it's even close to that. But I think you actually have more talent here in the room. So, of course, number 1 is going to be my Bengals for me. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins is still there. I actually think in a scary way, them having, if this Burton kid is as good as he was in college, this wide receiver core could possibly even be better. But I also like Andre Yoshivas. He ended up having, I think, like 4 touchdowns as a wide receiver 4 last year on limited snaps. So we'll see him and Burton kind of battle it out for wide receiver 3, but I think you'll see a mix of both of those guys. Trenton Irwin is just a guy that can just, catch you for a touchdown like he did Derek Stingley out of nowhere. Not somebody that I probably would feel like he'd probably get a better opportunity somewhere else just if he wasn't playing behind Jamar Chase and all of these guys. I'd actually like to see him somewhere else, but I just think right now he's probably going to be wide receiver 5. Haven't seen much from Charlie Jones. He was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to be the Tyler Boyd heir apparent. He just didn't show much last year. Like, he had a punt return for a touchdown, but not much of anything from a receiver standpoint. We'll see what he does. From what I've heard from people that are pretty close to the situation, they said that they thought he was more polished than he actually was. Charlie Jones was a guy that transferred to Iowa or from Iowa because he wanted to play wide receiver more than just special teams. So apparently he came in, wasn't really familiar with his route tree and stuff like that, was actually pretty lightweight as well. So, I think them getting Burton is like they're good off of waiting for Charlie Jones to develop. They're going to go ahead and move forward. So I'm not sure Charlie Jones is going to be a factor, but I think in Cincinnati you at least got 6 receivers in that room. And then when you start with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, those are guys that could be number 1 in anybody's room. So, we'll see where we go next year. But for now, with the Bengals still having that receiving core, I got to go with the Bengals there.
Okay, so J-Rock, going back here. Who's your number 2?
So of
I'm
course,
scared. I'm scared to ask.
my number 2 is Cincinnati.
Oh yes,
I just,
yes.
I just mess with you. It's Pittsburgh.
Okay.
But you know what I'm saying? I like Cleveland's wide receiver room overall. But the reason why I put him as number 3 was because I'm not a fan of Jerry Jeudy. And I think that he's a great route runner. Great IQ, but his hands is inconsistent. And I mean, coming into it, I think that he has the potential, but he's coming off of 2 bad years, or last year was decent. The year before that was bad, if I'm not mistaken.
No, the year before that was actually his best year. It's like the 2 years he started, his rookie and second year.
Okay, well, we'll get those numbers, but it's consistently, like I said, he has not been that good at like catching the ball. He has a lot of drops. But great with getting open, but he was almost like Deontay Johnson. He can get open, he can get the separation, but he can't catch the ball. So I mean, I think with that, it's going to be a lot more attention on Elijah Moore. I think Amari Cooper won't have the year that he had last year because he doesn't have Joe Flacco. So Joe Flacco was just throwing it. Joe Flacco would just throw it up. But I think Deshaun Watson, he does a little bit more with trying to be precise. And then I think his favorite target is Njoku, if I'm not mistaken. You correct me if I'm wrong, Quincy.
Who, Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
No, his favorite target's by far Amari Cooper.
Okay. I personally haven't seen that. But with that being said, we'll have to see, what Amari Cooper can do as far as like leading the team. I think Elijah Moore, by hands down, will have the best year out of the wide receiver quarter they had. But I think a close 2 will be Njoku, with Jerry Jeudy not probably having the best year as far as like being able to be consistent, and Amari Cooper getting the extra attention. So with that being said, like I said, I put Pittsburgh at 2, and obviously Cincinnati's at 1.
I will say this. The reason why I don't think we are close to Baltimore and the Steelers to be 2 is because we not gonna cap here, right? Like Ravens fans for the last 2 years have been wanting the Ravens to trade for Jerry Jeudy, and Jerry Jeudy will definitely be the number 2 in this offense. Jerry Jeudy in the last 2 years, 758, 972 yardage, right? Those is last 2 years with Russell Wilson that we think is not the best. I know he's over there now, J-Rock. But we all have the opinion.
Ready for your numbers?
What's that?
To take a nose dive.
Hey, J-Rock, I got a video about Jerry Jeudy of his missed opportunities last year. You might want to check it out because those Russ balls be pop-ups, boy. They be just in the air. You be like, they gonna drop?
Almost like punt.
Now, when we think,
he be punting the ball.
When we think about the overall projection of what we have right now, anybody who probably knows football know that Russ Wilson ain't gonna probably be there past this year. This whole move and the whole offseason was to get Justin Fields in position.
Is that much better?
And it's pretty much so to galvanize what I said in before in the previous weeks was we didn't have any offensive leadership. So I mean, to be honest, I think it was another move like we did a couple years ago or last year getting Patrick Peterson was more so to kind of build up Joey Porter, to build up the secondary and stuff that we have and giving them the mentality.
So they're building Fields. They're building Fields.
Right.
Okay. Well, anyway, so what I was gonna say, I have the Browns too. Cooper and Jeudy, 2 solid guys. Like you said, I think Cooper is underrated for the Browns. I think he was overrated when he was in Cleveland. Not in Cleveland, sorry, with the Cowboys. But with the Browns, I think he's underrated. And then Jeudy, I think there's some perception. And I think it is because I have big hopes for Jerry Jeudy. So what you thought he was going to be in the league and what he has been in the league so far, there's a gap there. Mm-hmm. So, but we cannot go from like, well, we thought he was a wide receiver 1, maybe top of the league, and he looks to be a solid 2, like a really good 2. And because of that gap, a lot of people think, okay, he's trash. Those two cannot be equated, right? He's not a top league receiver, as I thought when he was coming out of college from Alabama, but he's definitely not trash. He's definitely a solid 2. And when you have a solid 2 with Amari Cooper, as Amari Cooper has been playing with Cleveland, you have a good 1-2 punch. Now, the thing is, after that, I don't believe in Elijah Moore. Tillman, I'm not sure. Like everybody after that, I don't believe. But they also have Njoku, which in theory, between those 3 guys, you have way more than enough firepower on the receiving side. Plus, Cleveland, in my opinion, they're gonna go back to being balanced once Chubb, right, is ready there. And so I think they're gonna be okay. I think what Q said about where this team ranks and the overall is probably a good between 12 and 15, like smack in the middle of the rank for the whole NFL. But we're talking about the Ravens. We're probably in the 25th, 20, like down there in the 26th. And I'm sorry, Steelers, you have a 3 in front of you. So, and then look, in the case of the Bengals, if we're completely honest, right, we're gonna be here, Jamar Chase, and you have for now Higgins, right? He's gonna play this year. So next year we'll see where the conversation takes us.
And still Jamar Chase.
Yeah. It's still Jamar Chase, right? but what I was gonna say, I'm gonna take the Burton kid out of this equation because again, rookies, I'm not sure how he's gonna be. But if I take Yosibas and Irvin, no cap, those 2 guys currently will make the roster and will be a top 3 receivers for both the Ravens and the Steelers. Let's be honest.
I give you that. I like Osifos. I suppose.
Yeah, but then not only Yosifas, Irvin. This kid always making play. When they put him on the field, he makes plays. Like I'm not gonna be here and be dishonest. So we're talking there wide receiver 3 and 4, right? And we'll see what Burton is. To be honest, I think what Burton's gonna this year be the role that Yosifas has, and I think Yosifas will take a step up, be 3, and then Irvin. I think Irvin is there for depth, and then as soon as they have somebody there,
how do y'all like to use y'all fast wide receivers? Because y'all have Jamar Chase. Because like that's an interesting one with the receivers. Because you would think he would be 3, but he's so fast that because he ran like a 4.3 or something like that.
Yeah, he's got like Olympic. He was triathlete or something like that. It actually has been interesting because they didn't use Yoshi that much on like goals last year. They used him for the most part his size, and a lot of the times it was in the red zone. But that's one of the reasons that they got Burton because they really didn't have a quote unquote deep threat outside of Jamar Chase. So like now that they have Burton, that's like literally one of the main reasons they got him. Yoshi can definitely do it. They just didn't really use him like that just because he rarely got snaps as like wide receiver 4. And when they did bring him in, it was just mostly like stuff in the red zones because he also has the size. So I think you'll see them use that more with Jermaine Burton this year. And that was one of the things that was missing, which is why I think Zach Taylor is kind of fired up because now it's like Jamar Chase isn't your only deep threat.
Okay, so we have 2 super shots, and then Q, you're gonna take us.
Will Joe Burrow's wrist be able to get the ball to him?
So Nightmare Kilo here says, I meant the Ravens who had 3 1,000-yard players.
Dog, when's the last time they've had one?
I cannot remember, to be honest.
Outside of the year that Lamar had like 1,000 yards rushing.
No, well,
wasn't that Hollywood?
I think he's talking about receivers.
You talking about receivers?
Yes. Well, between tight ends and receivers. So I'm assuming he thinks tight end.
When's the last time y'all had one?
Bait.
It was Hollywood Brown.
Oh, that was.
I don't know Hollywood Brown.
Did Hollywood get 1,000?
Hollywood Brown had 1,000. I remember saying that on here because they hated Hollywood Brown, and I'm like, that's your last receiver that got 1,000 yards.
And then before him, it's
Anquan or something, wasn't it?
No, Anquan didn't have 1,000 with the.
Look, 1,008.
Oh yeah, I was about to say I knew it
before. I knew it. It was Hollywood.
Barely got it.
1,008.
Hey man, God bless y'all. If y'all get 3 1,000-yard receivers, hey, that shut me up. Like, I don't think it's happening. Who gonna be the third one? So it's gonna be Zay Flowers.
I'm assuming he thinks
Rashad Bateman and with Nelson Aguilar.
No. I think that Mark. I think he thinks Mark.
Oh, Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I think that would be the third.
Okay. All right.
So Professor Chaos here says Q and Cole, AFC North talk, worst take. I respect the offseason grind Q. Also, Browns wide receiver room better than Steelers wide receiver room.
That's a given. I've been live since 1:00.
Damn. Okay, well, Q, take us down, man. Who's your number one? And that's it.
Yeah, number one, I mean, like, look, the Bengals have Jamar Chase, and even if they had what the Steelers had behind Jamar Chase, that would be enough to have them be in the fight for number one. Because Jamar Chase is he's clear and by far the best wide receiver in the division. Nobody is really even close to him outside of maybe like what I think Cooper and like T. Higgins are fighting for like being better than each other at that point. So yeah, it's Jamar Chase. I think Jamar is the best receiver in this division. I think you could make an argument that T. Higgins is at least 3, right? And as long as you have those two, you're going to have one of the better wide receiving cores. Also, you got to, I brought this up as part of the reason I ranked the Ravens below the Steelers, but then I saw what the Steelers was developing. The Bengals have a track record of developing wide receivers, right? And they have a lot of actual developmental projects, right? Guys they have drafted that they are developing. Cevis, they have Jermaine Burton, right? And that's to fill maybe a second or third row. And they tend to do a good job at that. So they do get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt there with the younger guys. This is a good wide receiving room. I wonder if they don't get better by losing Tyler Boyd, not because Tyler Boyd's not good, but because Tyler Boyd is Tyler Boyd, he's going to take up a lot of snaps. Well, he took up a good amount of snaps. And I'm wondering now that you can use that third receiving spot to kind of rotate different guys with different specialties in there. Like you could throw in a Jermaine Burton if you need a first down on a third and short. You can throw in Cevis if you need a big play. Like you can play with what you do at that third wide receiver spot and move around guys based on that. I wonder if that's going to give them a lot more flexibility and freedom to be able to kind of make this offense run a little bit smoother and not have those weird moments where they kind of stall out like they had last year. Because maybe sometimes the pressure for Joe Burrow to get the ball to not just one receiver, not just 2 receivers, but 3 receivers who really want the ball. And now he's going to be able to spread it out evenly between 2 guys and then get the third guy whenever the third guy gets it. It's not really a big priority. Maybe even sprinkle in some tight end play. I think the Bengals are going to put up their most impressive receiving season since Jamar Chase's first year this season.
Okay, and that, guys, will take us here. The ranking for today. Overall, we have Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Steelers. That's the overall. And then the fan vote is also Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Steelers. By the way, it's not even close. Bengals 66%. Browns 22%, so big margin. Ravens at third with 8%. Steelers at fourth with 4%. I think that's all accurate, by the way. I personally think that's the right gap too for everybody there. For that, even for the Ravens having 8, I think that's the proper gap. Anyway, guys,
what did the Steelers have percentage-wise?
4, and the Ravens have 8.
J-Rock, you could vote right now and make that like 12.
I'm good. I'm good where we at. I like doing hot takes.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I appreciate it. Not everybody is willing to say what they feel and stand on it. And you out here saying what you feel and stand on it.
Straight up.
I just hope you stand on it in October.
That's all right. I'll be up here. I will be up here saying, my bad. But I will be up here talking about how improvement, because we're gonna get another improvement wide receiver.
If I know J Rock, he gonna be like, you know what, I was wrong, and then pivot to the next thing.
Right. But how about them Cowboys?
Hey, but Calvin Austin the last 3 games.
Right.
So with that, again, sub to the channel, hit the bell. Right, so we're gonna take we're gonna rank like last year, guys. We're gonna rank the offense, and then we're gonna be taking a break, and then we're coming back ranking the defense. preseason. That takes us to the year. So make sure you sub, hit the bell so you know when we're live. You know how it is. We'll see y'all next week. Peace out.